Hello, everyone. It's great to be in Whitehorse right now. I had a great visit with MP Brendan Henley and, of course, Premier Ranj Pillay. Opportunity to talk about all the various priorities of people here in the North. Long conversations about healthcare. We're really looking forward to moving forward on the bilateral agreements that'll deliver more family doctors, better mental health, moving forward on supporting health workers and better health data and information. These are the kinds of things that we're continuing to work on alongside investments in critical minerals and infrastructure, moving forward on a range of things in terms of fighting climate change and supporting economic growth in the North. So that was great conversations to have with local leadership. Also spent a lot of good time yesterday with the Indigenous leaders, the First Nations leaders of the Council of Yukon First Nations. We were marking on 50 years, celebrating 50 years since a group of First Nations leaders went to Ottawa to deliver a vision for reconciliation, for self-government that was successful and has actually led the way over these past 50 years, not just here in Yukon, but around the country. For them to have come see my father 50 years ago, for me to now come here to meet with them and celebrate was an important thing to be able to highlight the real work that's continuing. Obviously, right now, I just toured with some of the RCMP and Canadian Forces members who will be leading the recovery efforts on the ground for the unidentified object. As you know, the responsibility of the Canadian government and of NORAD is to ensure the safety of Canadians. And when these unidentified objects represent a threat to airline traffic, to civilian safety, we needed to take action, which we did. We did it in concert with our American partners under the command of NORAD, and that's what we're going to continue to do to ensure that Canadians are kept safe. The search and recovery efforts are underway right now, involving all the very best resources that the Canadian Forces and the RCMP and other partners have to put forward. And in that work, I have to highlight that the Premier and the territorial government, as well as Indigenous leaders responsible for the territories that this object might be in, have been tremendous partners. We're working closely with them as well to make sure that things are both done safely and appropriately. But this is an ongoing effort that will continue as necessary to be able to recover and analyze this object. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici à Whitehorse. Ça a été des belles conversations avec le Premier ministre sur la santé, sur l'infrastructure, sur les changements climatiques, sur la lutte, la croissance économique. On a aussi évidemment célébré avec les peuples Premières Nations les 50 ans de travail ensemble pour livrer la gouvernance qu'ils sont en train de vivre maintenant. C'est un beau moment où ils sont venus voir mon père il y a 50 ans. Moi, je peux venir les voir, célébrer ces 50 ans. Mais évidemment, ce matin, j'ai passé quelques minutes avec les membres des Forces armées et la GRC qui vont être responsables de la recherche pour l'objet non identifié qu'on a abattu ici au Yukon. La responsabilité de tout gouvernement, c'est de garder ses citoyens en sécurité. Et je peux vous assurer qu'on est en train de faire tout ce qui est nécessaire pour travailler avec nos partenaires de NORAD, avec les États-Unis, pour garder les gens en sécurité, pour assurer que l'aviation civile est sécure, mais aussi qu'on recouvre et qu'on analyse l'objet qu'on a abattu. Ce travail va être fait dans les jours à venir, évidemment. La météo pose des défis, mais on a des experts et des gens assez extraordinaires qui vont être là-dedans. Alors, j'étais très content de pouvoir les remercier à l'avance pour tout le travail qu'ils vont faire sur le terrain dans des situations extrêmement difficiles. Mais on veut tous en savoir plus sur cet objet-là et c'est pour ça qu'on est content de pouvoir se fier sur les forces armées. Avant de prendre les questions, je suis très content de passer la parole au Premier ministre. Before taking questions, I'm happy to turn over to Premier Pillay for a few comments.
Thanks, everyone. First, I just want to thank the Prime Minister for coming and spending time with us. Really important anniversary for the Council of Yukon First Nations. I think for people covering today. It's a story that all Canadians need to hear about Modern Treaty and how amazing it's been for our territory. Again, we had a chance to talk today on important issues coming up and chatting about health and, of course, the bilateral agreements that we're still looking to move on. Of course, Arctic security, I think we all know over the last couple of days how important it is. I want to thank the Defense Minister, Anita Anand, for making time over the last couple of days to speak directly with me, and again to the Prime Minister for chatting with me today about how important that is. So again, opportunity to speak about infrastructure, critical minerals, and again, the future of the North. So Prime Minister, thank you for making time out of your schedule. And again, it was a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier Pillay and Prime Minister Trudeau. Merci, Premier Pillay et Premier Ministre Trudeau. We have 15 minutes for questions from media. Nous avons 15 minutes pour les questions du média. I will just encourage journalists to please speak into the microphone as there is a good deal of noise outside. Je vous encourage à parler au microphone pour concernant le bruit. And we will start with the Canadian press. On va commencer avec la presse canadienne.
Hi. I'm wondering if NORAD is working the way it's supposed to.
Close to the mic, sorry.
Okay. I'm wondering if NORAD is working the way it's supposed to. Why are we not detecting these objects before they enter North American airspace?
Actually, we are ensuring that we're monitoring together the airspace. NORAD is one of the only joint commands for territorial defense in the world. Canadians and Americans are in the joint command for protection of our territory. So as it's picked up over Alaska by NORAD, we are part of tracking that in Canada as well. We're working very, very closely together, and in my conversation with President Biden on Saturday afternoon, we emphasized that we will continue to work in a seamless, integrated way to make sure we're protecting everyone who lives on this continent.
How much more urgent will these issues be when you and President Biden meet again in the next coming weeks?
No more urgent than they are right now. This is a very serious situation that we are taking incredibly seriously. The actions we're taking to protect North American airspace, the actions we're taking to recover and analyze these objects, the importance of defending our territorial integrity, our sovereignty, has rarely been as important as it is now. Obviously, it was important that our ministers and our officials keep talking. It was important that the President and I have a direct conversation on Saturday afternoon as these actions are underway. But it will give us even more to talk about when we get together in March.
Hi, Virginie Anne, CBC, and si c'est possible aussi de traduire pour mes collègues francophones. Some would say that there is no greater example of the weakness of our Air Force capacity than watching American jets destroying flying objects over Canadian soil. Why was it American jets that shut down the object?
NORAD is a joint command, which means we do things together over North America. And there were Canadian and American fighter jets scrambled to intercept the object and to take it down. It was very much based on the context and the situations of who was there, who had the capacity to do it before we lost the object into darkness or into situations. Our focus was not on which side gets credit for what. Our focus was on running the operation smoothly and successfully. That's what NORAD is all about, and that's a perfect example of how seamlessly we work together. NORAD est une commande conjointe. Nous faisons tous tout ensemble pour protéger l'Amérique du Nord ensemble. Il y avait des avions de chasse canadiens et américains qui étaient sur place. La commande, c'était que celui qui avait la meilleure option, la plus rapidement, puisse abattre cet objet-là. On est moins préoccupé par qui reçoit le crédit pour ça, et beaucoup plus préoccupé par le résultat qu'on veut. C'est comme ça qu'a été constitué NORAD, et c'est un très bel exemple de comment ça fonctionne bien.
Can you reassure Yukoners, and if so, what allows you to reassure them that right now there's no threat for the land, the water, or the health of the people living in the surrounding communities?
We are deploying all all measures possible to keep Canadians safe. We understand that Yukoners, and I spoke with the Indigenous leaders, the First Nations leaders in the affected territory last night, are rightly concerned about the impact on their citizens, but are also recognizing that the decision was taken to take this down over fairly unpopulated and sparsely populated territory to make sure that the safety of Canadians and of Yukoners was first and foremost. In the recovery efforts, a lot of it is going to be around searching for and hopefully finding the object, but there are also places and teams in place to make sure that whether it's hazardous, whether there's who knows what associated with the object, it be properly dealt with by people with the proper training to make sure that there is no risk to human life as it is recovered. Évidemment, la sécurité des gens qui habitent ici au Yukon et à travers le pays est notre priorité. C'est pour ça qu'on a pris les actions qu'on a prises, mais c'est aussi pourquoi, dans la recherche, on est en train de coordonner avec le gouvernement territorial, on est en train de coordonner avec les leaders autochtones de la région pour s'assurer que les gens soient en sécurité. Parmi les équipes que je viens de rencontrer pour faire la recherche et l'analyse et la recouverte de l'objet éventuellement, il y a des experts en matière dangereuse qui vont s'assurer qu'il n'y a pas de menace à la population.
Next question, prochaine question.
Hi, Ethan Lang, Whitehorse Star. I'm just asking, I know the recovery effort is ongoing, but NORAD told the Associated Press this weekend that they have an idea of what this aircraft is. Is there any reason we don't have more information on what this aircraft is?
Our focus right now is on recovering it. Obviously, there is much analysis going on at the highest levels of NORAD in both Canada and the United States to try and understand more, to facilitate in the location of the object and to understand better and be able to answer the questions that Canadians have. And as soon as we have more clarity and better answers to give to Canadians, we will be giving them.
So this is 3 aircraft shot down this weekend, or this past weekend. Do we have no idea whether this is a pattern or whether these are connected?
Well, I think obviously there is some sort of pattern in there. The fact that we are seeing this in a significant degree over the past week is a cause for interest and close attention, which is exactly what we're doing. We've deployed significant resources here to be able to recover the object, as well as diplomatic and international engagements going on to find more information and to get solutions on this.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Écoutez, nous prenons ça extrêmement au sérieux et je comprends que les gens veulent en savoir plus sur ce qui se passe. C'est pour ça d'ailleurs qu'on a déployé tellement de ressources pour faire le travail qui va être très difficile d'essayer de localiser ces objets, ou cet objet ici au Yukon. Mais l'analyse qui se fait à NORAD par les Canadiens et les Américains, par les experts, les conversations diplomatiques qui sont en train de se faire, je peux vous assurer que la sécurité, la souveraineté, l'intégrité de l'espace aérien de l'Amérique du Nord est une préoccupation primordiale et nous sommes en train de travailler. Quand nous allons en savoir plus, nous allons le partager avec les Canadiens.
Next question.
Dana Hatherley, Yukon News. Which communities in the Yukon can expect authorities to be dealing with debris, and what can communities expect?
We are searching what is a fairly large area that is roughly put between Dawson and Mayo, I believe, is in the area. We are obviously sending a lot of Canadian Armed Forces and RCMP resources to lead on the search in the coming days. But as time goes on, we will for sure have different instructions to give to local outfitters and trappers and people who may be in the area. For now, however, it really needs to be the Canadian Armed Forces leading the recovery efforts because we, as I've said, we don't know the degree of hazard that could be involved in this object that was downed, and we have to be safe.
And how do you plan to work with Yukon's Premier and Indigenous leaders to keep Canadian sovereignty safe, and what does that mean?
Well, obviously, the responsibility of the federal government and the armed forces is to make sure, and NORAD is to make sure Canadian sovereignty is protected and maintained. But we do that in partnership. You can't talk about protection and sovereignty in the North without talking about and talking with the people who've lived here for millennia. And that's always been at the core of how we need to operate in the North, how we need to work in partnership with the local communities and local leadership. I have to say that the Premier has been an outstanding partner as we've shared what information we have and keep them apprised, but also leaning in on the chiefs of the territories affected so that they can keep their people safe as well. As is always the case, it'll be about the partnerships and the close collaboration across different orders of government and different sectors that makes things work well in this area.
Next question.
Bonjour, Laurie Trottier, Laura Boréal. Vous avez parlé de réconciliation hier. Comment allez-vous vous assurer de consulter les peuples autochtones, les Premières Nations, entourant le projet de loi C-21?
D'abord, le ministre Mendicino a été ici pour faire une consultation directe que le MP Hanley avait organisée avec les communautés ici pour parler de l'importance de garder banni des armes de style assaut. C'est pas nécessaire pour la chasse, c'est pas nécessaire pour la sécurité. On a besoin de protéger la sécurité publique, mais on a besoin de le faire d'une façon qui respecte les désirs des chasseurs, mais aussi les droits fondamentaux des peuples autochtones. Et c'est exactement ce que nous cherchons à faire. Je pense qu'on est tous d'accord qu'il y a trop de violence armée au Canada et on doit prendre action, mais on va le faire de façon qui respecte les communautés impliquées.
Vous avez mentionné aussi les minéraux critiques. Quelle place occupe le Yukon? Quelle importance le Yukon a dans l'approvisionnement au Canada?
Une des choses qu'on est en train de voir, c'est que le Canada est très chanceux d'avoir des minéraux critiques à la largeur du pays. Donc, il y a énormément d'investissements qui vont se faire pour des bons emplois dans le secteur minier pour des années, des décennies à venir. Mais évidemment, on sait qu'au Yukon, ils ont des longueurs d'avance. Il y a une belle industrie développée. Il y a surtout un très beau partenariat avec les Premières Nations et les peuples autochtones qui permet un développement accru de ces éléments de façon responsable. Et j'ai bien hâte de pouvoir continuer à parler avec le Premier ministre sur le développement des minéraux critiques ici au Yukon.
Final question, dernière question.
Hi, I'm with APTN. I just have one question. You kind of touched on it. You kind of touched on it before, but it's almost 50 years to the day that your father accepted Together Today, which has achieved obviously a lot for First Nations people in the territory. What's your thought on sort of having this historical connection to such an important document? And can you answer in English and French, please?
It was extraordinarily moving for me to be able to sit down with chiefs, many of them direct descendants, the children of the chiefs who came to Ottawa. I think of Elijah Smith, I think of Sam Johnston, I think of others who were very much there to meet with my father, to sketch out an incredibly ambitious plan for self-government for Yukon First Nations that not only was visionary back then, continues to read as a visionary document for right now. And you really see the depth to which Indigenous leadership across the country and First Nations here in the Yukon see clearly about what the path of reconciliation is. Even 50 years ago, before we used the word reconciliation, the idea of partnership, of shared stewardship, of building a stronger future together where everyone had the opportunity to thrive and to do so in their language, in their culture, with respect for their traditional knowledge as an integrated part of where we're moving forward. The model that was presented to my father 50 years ago led 20 years later to the signing of the first modern treaties in an extremely concrete way that has been an example not just in Yukon, but for across the country. And it is something for me to be able to be here personally, to see the work that's been done, but it also puts things in perspective. The work of reconciliation, of changing this country, it doesn't happen in one visit or over a weekend or even in one mandate. It happens because people come together, roll up their sleeves, and start the work in a deep and meaningful way. So as I think about my father, as I'm joined by my son here on this trip, to show sort of the generational nature of the work that is being done, there's a lot more work to do. There's a lot of challenges and crises we have to deal with every given day. There are also extraordinary examples of success and progress that have been made that we do need to take time to note and yes, to celebrate. Il y a 50 ans, quand les leaders des Premières Nations du Yukon sont venus à Ottawa pour présenter un document ambitieux à mon père qui parlait de réconciliation long terme sans utiliser le mot réconciliation, ça a été un moment incroyablement important, pas juste pour le Yukon, mais pour le pays, parce que ça a jeté les bases du partenariat, du progrès que nous avons pu faire ici au Yukon depuis 50 ans, que les Premières Nations spécifiquement ont travaillé très fort pour faire au cours des 50 dernières années. Mais aussi, c'est un exemple pour le reste du pays de ce qu'on peut faire en termes de gouvernance, ce qu'on peut faire en termes de réconciliation. Mais je ne peux pas penser à ce que mon père a pu faire il y a 50 ans sans penser au fait que j'ai amené mon fils avec moi aujourd'hui pour voir que c'est du progrès générationnel. Ce n'est pas des choses qui se font dans une fin de semaine, dans une rencontre ou même dans un mandat. Ça va prendre des années, des décennies, des générations pour réussir, mais on a fait énormément de progrès ensemble et on va continuer de le faire. Alors, j'étais très, très content de pouvoir être ici aujourd'hui. Merci tout le monde.
Thank you. That will conclude today's scrum. Merci, ça va mettre fin au scrum.